I think these criticisms are mostly valid, and I think Brandon Ike, the creator of JavaScript, would largely agree. So as JavaScript developers, I don't think we should try to convince people to use JavaScript because it's flawless and perfect. It's not. We should be able to own the negatives and make the case that it's still a net good idea, which I think is true. So I'll do a quick reminder on that. And then in this video, I'll give you 3 tips to make these real pain points to make them a little more tolerable. So back to basics, why are we learning JavaScript? We learn JavaScript because it helps us get a job and it's a beginner-friendly language. It's not a beginner-friendly language in every way. It's a beginner-friendly language in some specific important ways. First, the mental model of websites are familiar to everyone. Even if you've never coded before, you've used a website. Second, it's a good beginner language because it's accessible and easy to set up. You can start with an online playground. You don't need to download anything to get started. Third, it's good for learners because it's visually interactive. There's rapid feedback. There's no compiler. So someone who's curious about JavaScript in under an hour can go mess around and get the basics of what it means to program, which is something that's really hard to do with other languages like a Java or a C or something. So those are some of the reasons that we say it's a good beginner language, not because it's like the most intuitive or readable thing. Like, there's problems there for sure. But in the end, it's a net win because if you can learn it quickly and get a job, it's like worth the pain. So we can own the pain and make the case that it's a net win. So how do we minimize that pain? Here's a few tips to address this. One of the reasons we talk about the ecosystem dumpster fire is because there are so many new frameworks coming out all of the time. The rate of technical obsolescence is really high. It feels like there's like the thing we just learned is like outdated the following year. And there's the framework wars to add to this. Should I learn Angular? Should I learn Vue? Should I learn React? The first thing to note is that the high rate of technical obsolescence in web technologies levels the playing field for people learning to code. It's actually a disadvantage to seniors and it's an advantage to the student, because if you learned the technology like last week or last year, it doesn't really matter to the employer. What matters to the employer is, can you do the job? So in a weird way, even though it's painful over time, it's actually great for beginners. And the main way to get away from the framework wars is to combat shiny object syndrome. You just have one single framework you're going for. And Latterly recommends React because it's the market leader. Again, orienting the North Star is getting that first job. It's trite, but it's true. Once you get that first job, the rest of your career becomes a lot easier. And no, you're not gonna be doing only React for like a decade. No one's gonna do that. You'll pick up other technologies and languages, but it's a huge difference between when you can get that first 1, 2, 3 years of experience. The rest of your career will be a lot easier and more flexible. When you go with React, not only do you improve your job search prospects, but you address another one of the problems, the language design. JavaScript is a multi-paradigm language that creates some of the framework wars. Angular is like class-centric, and then React is like a more functional procedural approach. So you're reducing this complexity if you just go with React. In addition, when you go with React, you're not staying with JavaScript. You're upgrading to TypeScript and incrementally introducing types, which is going to address some of the design flaws in JavaScript related to typing. You're also going full stack and you're improving your skill repertoire, which is going to improve your hireability. Hey, I know dynamically typed, statically typed, front end, back end, full stack. This is what you're telling the employer. I have all of these skills by the time I complete a Next.js based portfolio. Finally, to improve the community problems, Latterly has an endorsed communities guide. So maybe JavaScript in general, in particular, if you go to Stack Overflow or Reddit for help, it's going to be pretty painful. But if you go to these communities are really great. I've looked into them personally. And they include the Latterly community, which you can join our Discord for free. The Discord link is there, latterly.io at the community tab at the website.